Hello, York City Church. Last year, in our season of giving, we gave to 5 different key areas, and they were the Wellbeing Cafe, Yahala Matam, and the Citadel Projects, and also Christ Central Churches. And today I'm joined by Graham Pyman from the Christ Central Churches team, and he's going to share a bit of an update with us about some of the things that are happening in Christ Central. So hi, Graham. Thank you
Hi,
so
Hannah.
much for joining me today.
Really
I
good to see you. Thanks for having
yeah,
me.
you too. I wonder if you could just start by explaining a bit about who Christ Central are and maybe how many churches and where those churches are based.
Okay, so Christ Central is an apostolic team that is led by Jeremy Simpkins. And as a team, we work with somewhere in the order of over 275 churches around the world in 25 plus nations. It's hard to nail down exactly how many because these things grow and develop at some rate, but that's the sort of figure we're working with currently, around about 275 in over 25 different countries, which is amazing. And
Wow,
obviously, we're part of the wider New Frontiers worldwide family of churches as well.
absolutely. That is broad, isn't it? And
It
yeah,
really is. It really
must
is,
keep you and the
absolutely.
team pretty busy.
It does, and considering that we started with a handful of churches in the north of England, and our history is way back when we were a regional team serving some churches in the north of England. What God has done over the last sort of 10, 15 years is really quite remarkable and very exciting to see and to be part of.
That's absolutely. Thank you. I wonder if you could share now an encouraging story that you've heard or experienced in Christ Central within the last year.
Well, that's a really hard question, one story, because obviously there's so much going on and just so much going on around the world. I mean, churches working together across the Americas, the leadership conference have been running here in the UK in the last few years. I guess perhaps the most exciting thing for me, particularly closer to home, so in the UK itself, is just in the last few years we've been able to form a dedicated UK team led by my good friend who you'll know, Chris Frost, in Leeds. And it's really great, I think, for us now to have a team that is really focused and looking at the UK. For so long, us as an international team, we are spread pretty thin, lots of things going on. But now we've got a dedicated team in the UK looking at how we serve churches well, how we support churches well, how we work with regional teams and regional leaders. Once again, we're looking at church planting and praying and asking God for some new locations. So I think perhaps for me, it's really exciting to see this develop in our home nation and to see close at hand what God is doing here in the UK.
That's fantastic. I know we are so grateful to be connected with Christ Central and to be on the receiving end of the richness of what God is doing amongst us as a family of churches. So yeah, it's fantastic to think about what's going on in our home nation. I wonder if you could share maybe one thing that we could be praying for at York City Church for Christ Central.
I think perhaps what we're noticing over the last few years is some increased connections that God is giving us into some new places. So, for example, just in the last year, we've got a new connection with an apostolic leader and a network of churches in Armenia. Karen and his team lead some churches there, and we've started to work alongside him, and that's been wonderful to be part of that. And just in the last few months, we've had some conversations about churches in Pakistan and how we might be involved there and perhaps support and encourage. And it feels like God is opening our eyes to even more places and new opportunities. I guess the thing to know is wisdom in terms of, is God in this, what our response should be, but also to know how we can serve, how we can be an encouragement, how we can be a blessing to these local churches and believers and teams in some of these new nations. So I guess for me, that's the thing that perhaps I'd ask you guys as a church to pray for, that we might know God's leading and his wisdom in how we might respond to some of these requests.
That's a fantastic prayer, Graham. Thank you. We will certainly join with you in praying for
Thank
that
you.
and for the things that are happening in Christ Central. And we look forward to hearing more about what God's doing amongst us as a church. Yeah, thank you again for coming and sharing that with us today. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks again for having me. Really good to see you. God bless you all.